To the news now. Army Sergeant Bo Bergdahl is in a military hospital in Germany this morning after being freed by the Taliban. The 28-year-old had been held by militants for nearly half a decade, the only American POW from the war in Afghanistan. He was exchanged over the weekend for 5 detainees at Guantanamo Bay. Documents published by WikiLeaks show the men are all considered, quote, high risk and likely pose a threat to the U.S. and its allies. The deal was negotiated by the government of Qatar, where the former prisoners will stay for at least a year. The Obama administration is defending the agreement, but critics are raising some serious concerns.
This was essentially, in our opinion, to save the life of Sergeant Bergdahl. As I said before, we had information that his health could be deteriorating rapidly. There was a question about his safety. We found an opportunity. We took that opportunity. I'll stand by that decision. I signed off on the decision. The president made the ultimate decision. We did spend time looking at this.
I think the big issue here is what's going to happen to these 5 individuals. If they re-enter the fight, then it is going to put American lives at risk, and none of us want that to happen, not Secretary Hagel or anybody. But if they are able to have, after a year in Qatar, to do whatever they want to do, there's no doubt they'll re-enter the fight.
Bill Kristol, the Wall Street Journal editorial, says about trading with the Taliban, their lead editorial this morning, says that this trade, other Americans are going to pay the price for the terrorist hostage swap. We had David Rhodes from Reuters on earlier. He said the Israelis do this all the time, obviously. The French just cut checks. We don't do this historically. Reagan did it in the mid-'80s. Talk about what the president did, and should he have done this to get this last POW out?
I don't think he should have. I mean, we may well pay a price in terms of trading hostages to giving back terrorist leaders in order to get Bergdahl back. I mean, there are 2 sides of it. The 5 Taliban leaders we sent back, they may stay in Qatar for a year, they may not, even if they're there for a year. The boost this has given them, if you look at their own propaganda, I was reading some translations last night online, I mean, they are over the moon, the Taliban and Al-Qaeda affiliates
Does that
in
matter?
the area.
Does that matter if we're leaving Afghanistan?
It matters, because anyone who might be on our side in Afghanistan or Pakistan or anywhere else in the world has decided, combine this with the rest of Obama's weakness, forget it. Being with the Americans, does not pay. But secondly, what about Bergdahl? I mean, I don't mean everyone's happy to see him back and all that. The fact is, Susan Rice said on TV yesterday he was taken in battle, taken on the battlefield, and that he served the United States with honor and distinction. There's a lot of reporting that he wasn't taken in battle. He seems to have deserted, or at least gone AWOL. He may have cooperated with the enemy after they captured him. Soldiers died trying to find him. His own platoon and his own company and battalion seem to have come under a lot more attacks after he was taken. The degree of anger among soldiers on email and on listservs is unbelievable. And that needs to be taken seriously. That's not just people, those are the people who fought in the same company in some cases, or and who feel like they sacrificed to get this guy back, who may have behaved at best irresponsibly and at worst worse. And we need to have honesty about that. There was a big Army investigation. What did Susan Rice know? What did President Obama know about the investigation about Bergdahl? It's one thing to trade terrorists for a real POW, for someone who's taken on the battlefield fighting honorably for our country. It's another thing to trade away 5 high-ranking to someone who walked away.
We don't know all the details of this morning. Obviously, though, there is a lot of concern among the ranks, a lot of very angry people, as you said, online in the military.
This is why Congress needs to have hearings. There was a huge Army investigation. What's about the NDAs, incidentally? Do you guys, the Army required other soldiers to sign non-disclosure agreements about what had happened? Who's ever heard of such a thing? The enlisted guys in the military signing non-disclosure agreements?
There'll be an investigation, but there are new quotes this morning from members of his platoon. One guy saying, I'm, quote, pissed off about this because he believes that Bergdahl's a deserter. But again, we don't know yet, and there'll be an investigation into it. But back to the other issue, Governor Schweitzer, about trading, negotiating with terrorists. This is not something the United States has done.
At the end of the Spanish-American War. We didn't do it at the end of World War I. We didn't do it at the World War II. We didn't do it at the end of Korea. We're winding down.
We did not get John McCain by releasing terrorists.
We are winding this war down.
How many troops are there now?
These are by the way, Bill, do you remember
what get them back when the last troop leaves, like with Vietnam, that's one thing. There are 32,000 Americans in Afghanistan. Why did he have to go back now?
Let me ask you this question. So when these guys, these same 5 guys, were fighting the Russians, we called them the freedom fighters. When we invaded Afghanistan to chase al-Qaeda out, and we did that in 6 months, we now call them terrorists. They're enemy combatants. They are enemy combatants in Afghanistan. That's who they are.
The UN calls 2 of them war criminals. They have thousands of Muslim deaths on their hands from Afghanistan, leaving aside everything else.
At the end of every war, the UN calls many people war criminals. That's war. That's war. And so this fellow is a soldier. Did he walk off of the base? Was he taken on the street? Should have he been off the base? He was, what, 22 years old, 23 years old? So have you been in Afghanistan? Listen, what we have as a war in Afghanistan is everybody lives on a base, and every once in a while they go out on a mission. They try to drive from point A to point B. That's what's going on in Afghanistan.
That is not what happened there. He left at 4 o'clock in the morning, apparently, according to the New York Times and according to a long report by the late Max Hastings in Rolling Stones. He walked off the base at 4 o'clock in the morning alone. Look, we don't know. What I object to is Susan Rice going on national television yesterday and saying he served with honor and distinction and he was taken in battle, when it is not clear that those things were true.
Thank you. You said we don't know, but yet now you say the things that you do know. We don't know. Let's get the young man home. Let's celebrate that he gets to go back to his family, for God's sake. He was an American warrior. He was a combatant for the United States of America. He's a soldier. One American is, are you suggesting that one American is not worth 5 of these Taliban people who lived in a cave before we arrived and will live in a cave after we leave? Come on.
These 6 Americans were killed looking for Bergdahl. If this guy went AWOL or was a deserter, I have a real problem with now giving away 5 Taliban terrorists to get him back.
So I don't think it's as simple as giving away 5 terrorists. And I think that we have to take into consideration that there are parts of this deal that we're not going to be able to know about. And I mean, do you really think that they're just handed out to the world? This is a president that wanted to deal with the debacle that was Gitmo, that is Gitmo still, because it can't be fixed easily, because it is such a debacle.
He's done a great job.
That's number one.
You know what? The thing is, it was a moral issue for him to close Gitmo a year after he got into the White House. And, you know, how could any of us have seen it coming that he wouldn't be able to close Gitmo?
Or get out of Afghanistan.
Oh, wait a second. Wait a second. I actually predicted here, before he was even president, he would not get us out of Gitmo, because the president's view of the world was a lot less complicated before he was president of the United States. So
this is a president who's taken out terrorists with drone strikes and looks at their faces before it happens. I don't think he just let 5 free. Let them run free,
no,
like
actually,
running around in the yard.
I think that's exactly what he did.
Come on. There's been obvious negotiation with several countries. We know this, and we also know that they're taking the hit for this because there's stuff they can't tell us. But having said that, if it were the other way around, I'd be asking the same questions. So let's bring in Michael Leiter, former director of the U.S. National Counterterrorism Center and NBC News national security analyst. Michael, what are some of the things